Spring training is here. Justin Verlander has arrived, and the Astros are making moves. Maybe not the ones that you and I want them to, but they signed Niko Goodrum. Now you say, whoa, okay, what's the big deal? That's why we're here. I'm going to help you understand what the importance of signing a player like Niko Goodrum is so we can make sense of the Niko Goodrum signing. I'm Htown Wheelhouse for Locked on Astros. Stay tuned and listen. You'll want to know why the Astros got this man.
Hello and welcome to Locked on Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Heisman and Brett Htown Wheelhouse Chansey.
We are Locked on Houston Astros, and we are your daily Astros podcast. I'm Htown Wheelhouse. You can find me at Htown Wheelhouse on Twitter and Instagram, and at Stros411 on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Always positive, always Stros. You can find the show at Locked on Astros on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as well. Check us out and check out our YouTube channel. Please make sure that you make us your first listen, whether you're driving to or from work or whether you're at home checking us out on YouTube. Subscribe to our channel. Like the videos you watch and share them. Share them with anyone who has a smartphone or computer to be able to pull up any audio or video version of our show. Remember to join us live every Sunday for sure at 8:30, other times throughout the week, and we will start here pretty soon going 5 days a week. Remember, we are your team every day. This episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline is the place where you can get all your needs covered for this season. There are more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game begins. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to make sense of the Niko Goodrum signing. It is not the big blockbuster signing that's going to garner an hours of attention from MLB Network or Heyman or Passan aren't going to spend a whole lot of time, but Astros fans want to know. Carlos Correa, as I record this, has not signed with any team. So we don't know whether he's staying in Houston, whether he's going to New York, Boston, Baltimore, LA. We don't know. So Carlos Correa could be on the move or not. So why is Niko Goodrum a good signing? And what does he do? And what purpose does he serve if a lot of people are looking at his numbers going, there's a lot to be desired? So what I've done is I've looked at his numbers on Fangraphs at Baseball Reference. I also found an article that was really good by Larry the GM. And so I'll be using a lot of the information I get from this basing from that article in these stats that I've looked up. So what are two needs that the Houston Astros have right now? Center field and shortstop. Okay, center field, Jake Meyers won't start the season on the roster as he's still rehabbing the shoulder. So you have Chas McCormick. Chas McCormick is not a bad option. He's a very good outfielder. Probably one of the fastest guys on the team, has shown the ability to hit for power, is a definite threat on the base pass and can cover center field quite well. So he is there while Myers is on the mend. Pedro Leon also waiting to see what's going to come of him this year, see if he gets several at-bats at Sugarland under his belt. But shortstop, obviously with Carlos Correa, more than likely on the way out. If he stays, that's great, icing on the cake. But right now, the first portion of this show, I'm going to talk about Niko Goodrum and Aledmys Diaz as a platoon option and why the Astros signed him. And then in the second half of this, I will simply talk about if we either choose Pena is the starter out of spring training or Carlos Correa is signed. So let's get into it. You don't want rookies or second-year players taking all the pressure like a Jeremy Pena to be the full-blown starter going into a 2022 season. Now, if you ask Jeremy Pena, I'm pretty sure he says he can handle it. He's going to be your consummate professional in that area. But as a ball club who's got seasoned veterans, or maybe is losing the most seasoned veteran on the team, or one of the stalwarts of this team, you need to try to piece together a replacement for him so that you can survive. We all know that you're not going to replace Correa. Goodrum is not a Correa replacement. Simmons, if they would have signed him, would not have been a Correa replacement. Story would be more comparable to a Correa replacement, but you're still not replacing Correa. So what do we do? Why do we sign someone like Niko Goodrum, who is an average at best, um, you know, shortstop, and he strikes out a ton? And you got Diaz, who is injury prone, but has all-star potential. What do you do? Okay. Goodrum is here, A, because he's a veteran, B, because you could make a tandem of Goodrum and Diaz if Jeremy Pena is not ready to start the season. Now, let's look at Diaz. Diaz is a right-handed hitter, okay? And for his career, he's been a better reverse platoon split hitter and better versus right-handed pitching than left-handed pitching, except for his 2021 season, where he kind of reversed that. And so Diaz serves the purpose to where he can battle against right-handed pitching the best out of these two. Goodrum also is a switch hitter and significantly better versus left-handed pitchers, and he's been bad against right-handed pitchers. So for your righties, you have Diaz. For your lefties, you have Goodrum. You have them being able to split time there in the batter's box. Now, when you take what you're losing in Correa, his career WRC plus is 128. Very, very good. Compared to Goodrum and Diaz combined at 117. Now, what you try to do with these two players is you try to piece together as much as you can, recreating Carlos Correa's offense, knowing that you're not replacing it, but you're trying to find something. Even if you get 75 to 80% of what Correa produced, that's still better than not having anything at all. Or if they don't feel Pena is ready, that's still better than them putting this kid behind the eight ball to start the season. Because as a rookie, you want the kid to have confidence and you want to put him into a winning situation. He might need more time after spring training in Sugarland. And if that's the case, you've got two veterans who can do a good job at shortstop. So with that being said, it makes me think, sometimes we just need a Built Bar. And Built Bar is the best tasting protein bar in the land. And you hear me talk about it. If you listen to this show, if you've even only heard one other episode, you've heard me talk about Built Bar. Why do we talk about it? Why do we promote it? Number one, it's the best tasting protein bar in the business. It's wrapped in 100% chocolate, and the calories won't leave you feeling full. The extra sugar that other protein bars have won't leave you feeling empty. It has a range of 130 to 160 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 grams of net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. Also, they've added to the lineup in recent years the Marshmallow Puff. It's the only protein-infused marshmallow wrapped in 100% chocolate. They've got cinnamon churro. They've got chocolate marshmallow. They've got banana cream pie. Just had one this morning. Phenomenal. They have this new shamrock mint flavor Built Bar that tastes like these Andes mints. It's amazing. They've got mint brownie, coconut almond, and new for this month, white chocolate cookies and cream, and so much more. So check out built.com. Don't go get other protein bars. Don't get other ones that are going to fill you full of stuff you don't need. If you're the healthy conscious guy or girl, check this out at built.com. Do this for me. Go to built.com and use the promo code LOCKED15 for 50% off your order. Use the promo code LOCKED15 at built.com. They are the best bar in the biz. So basically trying to make sense of Niko Goodrum and why they signed him if Pena is not ready and if Carlos Correa does not come back. Now, what if Correa does come back? What if Pena is ready? Then what? What other areas on the field do Diaz and Goodrum fit as utility guys? Because he can be a utility guy, okay? Diaz is still a solid option. So Larry the GM really went to some great lengths here, and he kind of compared and rated each of them at the different positions, except for pitcher and catcher for obvious reasons. And it appears that Goodrum's best two positions on the field, his very best is shortstop, and he's been good in center field. All right. First base, neither Goodrum or Diaz have really played. I think limited, if any. Goodrum's worst position is second base, and he is not great at third, at left, or center. So you have at least two spots. Now, you could play him in the outfield if you absolutely had to have him in an emergency situation in center field. That wouldn't be a bad option. But you have a veteran who has very good record. Now, I say very good. I use that loosely. His best place to be on the field is at shortstop. Again, he's not Carlos Correa. We're not trying the job of this podcast is not to replace Carlos Correa. It's to explain why Niko Goodrum was a good signing, especially at the price you got him. Now, let's look at Diaz. His best position, second base. The only reason why you run Diaz at second base is if you're giving Jose Altuve a day off. He fits well there, and he's adequate in left field. One of his worst position actually is shortstop. We've seen that firsthand. He's adequate at third base, and he has three positions. His best position is second. He's adequate at third, and he's adequate in left field. He can handle the job in those three positions. So Niko Goodrum and Aledmys Diaz make sense tandem together as a platoon if Pena and Correa are not ready. But if Pena is ready and if Correa is here, then you've got other places you can put a Niko Goodrum. You can put a Aledmys Diaz. See, Goodrum appears to be his best option, which is for the short term at shortstop. That's where he would be good to give Pena a breather if he's starting, or Correa if he wants a day off. You could put him there rather than Diaz. So it's good to have Goodrum because Goodrum fills some holes that Diaz provides. So we all know when Diaz goes a short, a lot of people are like, so what do we do? So if you're going to play them and if you're going to find a different position for them other than shortstop, let's say you're going to put Diaz at second because you're resting Altuve, which pitching matchup do you want him to go? So if you sit Jose Altuve against right-handed starting pitchers, you would start Diaz. If you were to sit Pena and he's starting at shortstop, you would want Goodrum to face left-handed pitchers because here's how they could play out. Against opposing starting pitchers, right-handed pitchers, you could split Niko Goodrum and Aledmys Diaz 50-50. You could split them and give them even amount of starts on both ends. Against left-handed pitching, you're going to be very heavy, like around 95%, and only Diaz at only 5% if you have to have them against left-handed pitching just because of their track record and their history. So a lot of times when we see these deals, we think, what's the big deal? Like, why are they thinking that? Okay. And I agree with the writer of this article. His name is Larry. He's not an actual GM, but he does a lot of time looking into it. And see, there are a lot of times I go to Fangraphs and I don't understand all the breakdowns and all the charts and all the numbers. Or if you go to Baseball Savant, you go to these different, more technical baseball websites. If you're not as well versed in a lot of these numbers and graphs and charts, it is hard to make sense of them sometimes. So that's why we're doing this episode. And that's why hopefully throughout the year and as Astros sign players or trade players or put guys in different positions, we can bring you these short little 15, 16-minute videos to break this down. So to wrap this all up and to put this in a bow before we do, I want to tell you about BetOnline. BetOnline is the best place to go now that college basketball tournaments are finally upon us, all the latest odds, contests, and player props. BetOnline.net is the number one source for all your sports betting needs and info. BetOnline remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline is a continued source for all your sporting, wagering information needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino games. Head to the website today or use a mobile device and learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Now, with that being said, let's put a final bow on this. Why? What is one word that we can use that would describe why the Astros signed Niko Goodrum? That one word, options. It gives them options. If Correa or Pena, if Correa is gone and Pena is not ready to start, you have options and you can make a tandem between Diaz and Goodrum. If Pena is the starting shortstop or Correa is the starting shortstop, you have Options. You can use him in more places than one. Give Altuve a breather, you've got a good second baseman. Give your center fielder, needs something happens to McCormick, or McCormick has to be out, boom, throw him in center field in an emergency situation. Stuff like that is the options that they give you. And that has been one of the things that, as Astros fans, we've been able to pretty much trust wholeheartedly this front office. And I know James Click gets a lot of negative stuff thrown at him, but you have to look at the body of work and the overall results. And even though we've only won one of the 3 fall classics we've been in the last 5 years, there isn't any other teams that have had as much success as we've had. The Astros are poised to win the AL West again. They are the favorites coming out of the American League to make it back to the World Series, and Justin Verlander feels great. So this has been Htown Wheelhouse explaining to you why Niko Goodrum is a good signing for the Houston Astros. While he won't woe people and wow people with the top headlines, he is someone that gives the Astros options. I'm Htown Wheelhouse. Stay tuned in. We are your team every day. And make sure you make us your first listen. Also, check out Sully at Locked On MLB, where he has all the league's latest news. If you want to keep up with the competition and other teams, he is the baseball encyclopedia. Paul Francis Sullivan, please call him Sully. Make Locked On Astros your first listen, and make Locked On MLB your second listen. We are your team every day. Go Stros.